As we reported yesterday, President Trump's executive order dismantling the Department of Education is now in effect. Specifically, the order tells Education Secretary Linda McMahon to dismantle the department to the maximum extent appropriate and permitted by law. That's a huge statement. In addition, the secretary must work to return authority over education back to the states and to local communities. Well, as you can imagine, the left is up in arms over this executive order. Obviously, they want bigger government, not smaller. But we've seen how education has fared by investing in Washington, D.C. So the question is, how might it fare if we were to invest more closely to home? Well, here to go over the potential impacts of this order is Sonja Shaw. She's the president of the Board of Education at the Chino Valley United School District in California. Sonja, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to have you.
Great to be here, Jody. Thanks for having me. I love you guys, and it's such an honor.
Well, likewise. Listen, first and foremost, let me just ask you this. What are your thoughts on this presidential action to dismantle the Department of Education?
Jody, I think it's a step in the right direction because let's be real, when this was put in place, this department was put in place, it was pretty much a giveaway from Carter to the unions. And since then, the Department of Ed has not closed one achievement gap. I mean, look, kids are still failing at reading, writing, and math. And ever since this department was put in place, it just funnels money through to the special interest groups, which does not benefit our children. Now, if you give back to local control, let's be real, in states like California, that could be kind of nerve-wracking for a lot of us here fighting the good fight. But I will say, with President Trump, I don't think he's going to do something recklessly. I have hope that he is working with the experts that know how to do this. And I know Kevin Kiley's up there being a big advocate. It needs to be merit-based. Because, Jody, let's be real, a lot of states are like California, right? We have some great ones, but we also have some horrific ones who have weaponized the Department of Education towards districts like ours that are trying to actually educate kids. I think if they do it merit-based, it'll be a win for everybody. And I know Kevin's up there advocating for that. I know others are advocating for that. I am excited about these changes because let's be real, with DOGE being put in place, we also know some of that money was being put to watch a mailroom. I mean, there were so many things discovered that this money could have been going directly to our kids, and it's not.
Well, I think you can, it just seems to me common sense. You can never go wrong with merit-based leadership in virtually any area that we would be discussing, but certainly when it comes to education as well. And I'm so glad you brought up the direction the department that education has gone as a whole under the federal Department of Education. It has not been a good outcome. And so we were doing fine educationally prior to the Department of Education being created on the federal level, and we'll be okay afterwards. You also mentioned California. Your governor, I'm sure you're aware of this, he came out saying that this whole thing that President Trump is doing is an overreach and that needs to be rejected immediately by a co-equal branch of government. What is your response to your governor really coming out against President Trump on this?
First of all, let's just lay out the facts. Newsom put his kids in private school when he shut down schools here in California for the majority of the children. He also sued our district and other districts for just wanting parental involvement. So, of course, he's going to be opposed to something that's going to benefit our children because he's never been successful at helping our educational system here in California. California is 40th in the nation. We are, from the federal government, we get about $33 billion, but yet we're 40th. What does that show you? They have mismanaged and funneled monies through to the lobbyists, the special interests, through these departments, all while failing kids at reading, writing, and math. To me, he's just, every time he speaks, he just exposes himself to normal day-to-day parents like myself who are getting involved and fighting for the good change here in California. Look, they have been reckless. They've spent money. He's afraid of this because they've weaponized the federal government and also the state government. But if you make it merit-based, let's be real, even in California, our district is spending, I want to say it was 10 to 12,000 less per student to a neighboring district, and our test scores are increasing and our enrollment is increasing. So even in California, if you manage the money right, you can actually give our kids a great education. Newsom's opposed to great education. He just is in bed with the special interest groups, and it's wrong.
All right, so let's go down that path. As I understand it, and as you mentioned, basically this dismantling of the federal Department of Education would redirect funds to the state and local districts much more closely. Expound on that, if you would, a little bit, as in terms of what would that look like in practice? How would it impact education?
Yeah, so there's a couple different things. If it does come down to the states, I would be a big advocate. I'd really just giving it directly to the districts based on merit. But if we have to work on something to get to that point, I would say give it to the counties. Look, local control is the best, right? And if you give it to the counties, they know exactly what is needed and where it's needed, and they can disperse the money. The Title I, the Title IX, those monies are going to still go towards the kids that need it for those specific things. Now, if you look at the bigger picture at putting it back to the states, they can make it very, very difficult for districts like ours that are actually trying to educate and not indoctrinate. So I would say there's going to have to be a lot of talks. And I hope that a lot of people are able to come to the table here in Congress to give some insight. I would definitely love a seat at that table with our superintendent by my side, because we have a lot of knowledge on how it is to run here directly a district that is successful even in California. Jody, I think we need to make common sense common again. And right now they have watered it down and too many hands are in the pot. And that's why our kids are failing.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Sonja. You have been really on the tip of the spear on this issue and so many other issues that the education is in California is specifically dealing with, from LGBT indoctrination and all this stuff. You have been on the front line of so many issues, and you continue to. And I tell you, the scales are tipping in your favor, and we're seeing it from the national level all the way down. And so I just want to say thank you. God bless you. Godspeed to you and others who are stepping up. I know it's not been an easy battle for you, and there's been hundreds of thousands of people praying for you, and it's all paying off. Thank you so much, Sonja Shaw. God bless you.
Thank you. I love you guys, and thanks for the prayers. They're definitely needed.